Raw Politics now with our panel. Let's get right to Ralph Reed, the founder and chairman of Faith and Freedom Coalition, also the GOP strategist Rick Galen, and the chief political analyst Gloria Borger. We spoke earlier, and my first question to all of them was about new numbers in the Gallup tracking poll that shows Mitt Romney regaining a very slim lead nationwide over Rick Santorum, making up ground, as you can see, since a week ago. So, Ralph, let's start with you. The poll numbers show that the Santorum surge actually seems to be going back to the Romney lead, if you will. Is that because the social message that Rick Santorum is focusing on is working against him now, that it was a mistake?
No, I don't think so, Soledad. I mean, look, you're looking at a candidate in Rick Santorum who came into this race as an asterisk in the polls, somebody who was way behind in the money race, way behind in the name ID race. He won Iowa. He's won 4 of the 9 contests. He's made the Final Four. He may be emerging as the conservative alternative to Romney, and none of that would have happened without the vitality and the energy that he's generated among social conservatives. Remember that if you look at the 08 exit poll, Soledad, 41% of all the voters who went to the polls 4 years ago were evangelicals in the Republican primaries. That number is going to be higher now. Now, look, if he wants to win the nomination, Rick has clearly got to broaden that message to talking about the economy, the message he had the night he won the Iowa caucuses, where he talked about growing up as the grandson of a coal miner who believed in the American dream, a family of immigrants who believes that America's great days are still ahead of it.
But he's moved out that message a little bit, right? Over the weekend, he was saying this. President Obama once said he wants everyone in America to go to college. What a snob. And then he goes on to say, oh, I understand why he wants you to go to college. He wants to remake you in his image. Some people are saying that kind of message at a time when high unemployment numbers are actually lower for people with college degrees is kind of a wrong message.
I think it's cost him a lot of trouble, because I think he's trying to be the populist in this race. But in trying to do that, he's turning off a lot of fiscal conservatives who say, you know what, going to college is a pretty good idea. He also, by the way, with the anti-JFK message, the separation between church and state, I mean, that could work with him with the evangelicals. I think Ralph is right on that. But there are a lot of Catholic voters who actually believe that that speech was completely appropriate and who idolize JFK, and that could hurt him with Catholic voters. And by the way, Santorum's a Catholic.
So, Rich Galen, let me ask you a question about Mitt Romney, because what we saw was Mitt Romney, who was sort of going into the social realm briefly, has moved out of it and is back attacking Rick Santorum, but on the economy and jobs.
Yeah, I think they've decided that I mean, there's probably a really good inside the Romney campaign fight between the social guys and the economic guys. But I think what they found, what happened was, I think in Colorado, the social conservatives overperformed dramatically, because it was right after the contraception decision by the Department of Health and Human Services. It boiled up over the weekend. The Santorum people said, well, if we can energize our base, we can overcome the economic message from Romney that we can't afford to drive that message. Romney, on the other hand, can afford to drive that message. He understands, I think, in the longer poll that it is the economy. We'll see what happens overseas. But for right now, the economy is the big deal. And you don't have to win all the votes. You don't have to get 100%. You just have to get one more than the guy that's right behind you.
I think the other thing that this really serves to underscore is the importance of organization, of a financial advantage, and having a plan to go long. I mean, the fact of the matter is that Rick Santorum's really come out of nowhere and has posed an unbelievable threat to the aura of inevitability that surrounded Romney at the beginning of this. But to Romney's credit, he built a strong early vote program in Michigan, just as he did in Florida. It may end up proving decisive. I think all of this, Soledad, ends up working to the advantage of the party, and I'll tell you why. The biggest challenge facing Romney going into this process was to be able to address and wrestle with these Tea Party and evangelical voters. He's been forced to do that. Whether it was Huckabee doing that with McCain in 08 or Santorum and Gingrich doing it now with Romney, this is all to the good in uniting the party once this is over.
As you know, there's a sort of the opposite theory on that, which says actually, and there are many Republicans who subscribe to the theory that says people ripping each other apart is bad for the party, that the voters are turned off, that it's damaging to the party, and at the end of the day, you're only helping President Obama.
Well, I would have to tell you that you look at Romney's numbers with independent voters since November, they've taken a nosedive to the tune of more than 20 points. So I don't see how this really benefits Romney in the long term if he becomes the nominee of the party.
All right,
well, one of the things we know, one of the things we do know, is that this is the most fickle electorate in any of our lifetimes. I mean,
that might be the understatement of the year.
Exactly.
And what are we already? Only February.
But let's go back. If we go back 4 years, Soledad, remember that Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama duked it out all the way to June. We're still in February.
Right.
This could have a long way to go. And guess who got to take the oath of office?
And by the way, Obama's numbers suffered among white women for a long time after that primary, but they ultimately came home. And the fact is, elections aren't won in February, they're won in November. There's plenty of time for this party to unite and get its act together. And I think it would be a huge mistake to look at a muscular, contentious, hard-fought primary and conclude that that's a weakness. Whoever this nominee ends up being, they're going to be smarter, they're going to be tougher, they're going to be disciplined, they're going to be much more ready for Barack Obama in the fall.
Well, we're going to be watching the numbers, of course. I appreciate your time, guys. Thank you very much.
You bet.